Welcome everyone to another AZ Ray video. Today I have an astounding guest with me. I have one of my favorite sociologists that I know, and myself as a fellow anthropologist. So we're just going to be an anthropologist talking to a sociologist, but in simple terms, we're just going to be having a conversation. The reason why I have the amazing Cha here because we're both fans of anime, and we had a very interesting question about anime that's going to be like the overall theme of this conversation is when did anime become cool, right? Because it's just like, what the heck? When did this happen? Now it's like we're not weird, we're not shunned, and now
The
like we're
outcast.
beloved. And so yeah, so thank you so much for your time, Miss Cha. She has many names, but for the audience purposes, we're gonna introduce her as Cha. So welcome to the channel, Cha. How you feeling today? You ready for a fun
Hi.
conversation?
I think so. I think I'm ready for one. But thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here. Here's Oikawa from Haikyuu, my best friend.
He's
So I
good
wanted
to
to throw it
go.
out there since my room is barren, but this is my contribution
Yeah,
to
yeah.
this
Don't
conversation.
don't yeah. Don't be fooled, guys. She knows her anime stuff. I got Kirby
What?
here in my background, and I got where's he at? We got Boo here too. So throwing some love, and we got the cool background with all kinds of different anime characters. So let's go ahead and get into it. Let's go ahead and get started. I'll go ahead and ask you first, Miss Awesome Guest Cha. What's your history with anime? I know everybody has a different story. Everyone starts their journey with anime differently. Do you remember what your first anime was, or just your like experience?
Well, it's Sailor Moon. That's like my first anime, but my brother is a very good artist. He likes to freehand a lot of things. So I grew up seeing a lot of like art sketches everywhere. So that kind of like sparked my interest first. And I woke up one morning, they turned on like the cartoon channel on Saturdays, and I watched a bunch of cartoons, and then it migrated over to Sailor Moon. So that's my very first anime that I watched. Fell in love with it. Unagi, oh, wait, no. Not Unagi. But Sailor Moon was my favorite, Sailor Venus, all of them. And then it migrated over to Digimon. And yeah, couldn't really get into Pokemon, but Digimon was it. So that's my history.
Cool, cool. Yeah, we definitely have similar histories for sure. Sailor Moon was if Sailor Moon wasn't my first, it's between Sailor Moon and Speed Racer. I used to watch Speed Racer in Spanish with my dad, and I would watch Sailor Moon same way as you. It was either on because I remember for us it was either channel 5 or channel 11. So it was either like Fox or KTLA 5 for people in the US. And I know like in Mexico it was like Televisa. When I visit my family in Mexico, like they would use like Televisa or different like Spanish speaking dubs or versions of that. And it's funny too, because like looking back at those times, I don't think even as a kid I didn't understand the term anime. I feel like I didn't understand the term anime until I became older. Like I didn't know that was an anime. I thought they were just like really cool and really pretty cartoons. And the whole premise to Sailor Moon was just cool, and like you could tell that they had their own edge to them for sure. Because like the detail that you see in like a very traditional like Saturday morning cartoon compared to an anime, it's completely night and day, right? Like from the expressions, from like the backgrounds, from the fight scenes, the detail that you see on an anime studio compared to like what a regular traditional cartoon. Like I could tell as an observer that there was a big difference, but I don't think I was young enough to tell the difference. And I also completely agree with you. Pokemon, yeah, like I started watching Pokemon as a series and like, okay, and I think I fell off. The part that pissed me off about Pokemon was the part where there was like the electric. I can't remember the electric or the lightning gym leader, and it was Raichu versus Pikachu, and it's like, how are you gonna tell me Pikachu's involvement is gonna not win the battle? And it's just like, nah, dude, I'm out. And I remember being a kid, and I don't know how old I was when Pokemon came out. Must have been like, I believe it was like 1999 or something like that. So I was like, might have been younger. I'm not sure. 1997. I can think we can double check when Pokemon came
I
out.
think so. I don't remember when it came out. I just know that I was still in elementary school or going
Yeah.
into like middle school. So that's when I had to be a little bit hush hush about it because like that's when people started noticing the difference between anime and regular cartoons, and like it became super unpopular or like not cool enough for the kids. So yeah, because when Pokemon came out and got even bigger and stuff, I was watching Digimon, but I had to be very quiet about it. But that also made me very frustrated because why are we catching them all instead of like working together? It's very like crazy. But yeah,
No,
and also about
absolutely.
yeah. So I wasn't really I don't know, but yeah. So Pokemon actually came out in 1996. So I was
Oh.
7. Yeah, so I was 7. And I know that like Sailor Moon, because the concept of it was very interesting. And of course, Tuxedo Mask was like super awesome, right? I forgot he had another like he played a different or he had a different name because he wasn't Tuxedo Mask. He was somebody else before that. I forgot what it was, but I know like it has to do with like the desert and stuff. I forgot his name, but they were my favorite. That's kind of the reason why like I was very into Sailor Moon because Tuxedo Mask was very dreamy and stuff. Um, but yeah, it was very interesting to kind of like see those two differences and then how people are starting to notice how that's very different from American cartoons. So we could watch Recess, we could watch Duck Bunny, all that kind of stuff, and they're okay. But then when all the other like anime became a little bit more popular during that time, it was kind of looked at a little bit different. So yeah, kind
Oh
of
yeah, that's a good
yeah.
point, dude. I didn't realize Sailor Moon came out in 1992. That's
No,
crazy. Huh.
it's an older one, and then also too, everyone always thought it was Sailor Moon that kind of started off the whole thing. It wasn't. It was Sailor Venus. I think was it Sailor Venus? No, everyone. It was the
Oh,
other.
the
It was the
other
other yellow one. Yeah, was it Sailor
Saint
Venus?
Saint Seiya? Saint Seiya
No,
is like an older anime show.
no. I meant So
You
when
mean
we
like
first
when they power up? Is that what you mean? Like the
no,
order?
so Sailor Moon, they had a within the show, they had a video game and it was Sailor Venus. And Sailor Venus was actually one that was tasked to find Sailor Moon. So the very first Sailor Scout was actually Sailor Venus, from what I remember. So that was actually
Interesting.
pretty, yeah. So it was codenamed Sailor V, right? And that one actually came out in 1991. So Sailor Moon was 1992. Very interesting.
Interesting. Very cool. No, I didn't know that. Learn something. That's a lot of the cool stuff that you get here on AZ Ray Video. See, you learn a bunch of cool things. That's what you get when you get a cool sociologist doing research with you as we talk about this. But going back into the whole like Pokemon Digimon thing, I remember I was literally like I couldn't even finish the episode. I was like pissed off. And then I think that was like a season finale or something because I remember they even re-aired it the next week. I'm like, bye. I changed the channel to channel 11 and my life changed forever, bro.
Did you say
All I
Channel
hear
11?
is what?
Channel 11, is
Chan-
that what you said?
Channel 11. And what was playing?
That's for all the,
Digimon, digital monsters, Digimon are the champions. And I'm like,
yeah.
that was like sucked in as a little kid. First of all, Digimon's amazing. Every
Mhm.
kid has a purpose. And honestly, as like an insecure little kid, I think that show came to me in a time where like I needed it. You know what I mean? And like the
Mhm.
idea that you can be like a digi destined and that like you could be like chosen and all like the different things, right? Because like you had like all the different crest types, which is that alone makes it like better than Pokemon, dude. Because like all the kids had their like particular like different crests, and
Mhm.
like that aspect of it, in my opinion, made it like very powerful because it forced every kid to have significance to it, and it wasn't just centered on like, hey, I'm a Pokemon and I'm cute. Don't get me wrong, some Pokemon are cute. I'm a sucker for Psyduck. Psyduck's pretty cute, I can admit that. And like, but like it had more depth to it and it had more storylines, and like it forced like the characters to like have these responsibilities, and these little kids, like they were kids and they had the pressure to try to like attempt to save the world and save the digital world, right? And
Mhm.
like the fact that like the kids like were able to like rock on and like just like be empowered into that role. So watch, I'm just gonna hopefully this works. I'm gonna attempt to share my screen just because I want to just like show how amazing um freaking Digimon is. I think I was able to find a picture of the crest right here just so I can review it, see if that worked. There we go.
Oh wow.
So, okay, these are all awesome. The crests are right. You have the crest of courage, the crest of friendship. If it's an anime, best believe you got the power of friendship. You know what I'm saying? You
Oh,
don't mess with
always,
that
always,
power.
always.
And then you got the love, because of course you need love, you need knowledge, sincerity, reliability, hope, light, kindness, miracles, and destiny, right? And
Hmm.
so now that I think about it, I don't remember the Digidestin being this much. I think this is like a compilation between like the two seasons. I think the first five are just the OGs, and then there's other ones. But whatever.
I'm
I think
trying.
I'm just
I'm trying to
rambling.
remember. Yeah, I'm trying to remember too. I just know it's been a while since I I watched Sailor Moon and like Digimon and stuff like that. But I just remember that the concept of Digimon, like you were saying, is a lot more adult. So it's a lot serious because it forces all of them to come together to really be able to make a difference and stuff. But one of the things that I loved about it though is that when you enter the Digi world, right? Like a minute is like a week. So you could be there forever and like get old. And when you come back, nothing changed. So you could disappear for so long from your from your family and it wouldn't be an issue. That was my favorite thing about Digimon. That's something that I really wish I could have here. Just go to a different world. Kind of like Black Mirror too, but like not in a more safer
No,
environment, I
sure.
guess.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because what, like you said, a minute's a week, right? So imagine all the things you
Yeah.
can get done out there, and it's like, oh, you didn't get caught when you snuck away or did whatever. But yeah,
Yeah.
no, the world was way more mature. Even though the you could tell the show was centered for kids. You could tell at the same time though that the show didn't really like try to like they didn't dumb things down. They were able to present adult issues, hard issues, depression. They talk about a lot of heavy issues, and I remember, I'm trying to remember the characters' names, but I remember TJ was the little kid. I can't remember his
Yeah.
older brother, but I remember like they didn't have their parents, and they talked about it at the show, like you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And it was like heavy issues, you know what I mean, and they weren't scared to like shelter their audience when
Oh
like
yeah.
I feel like especially like in Western media, and this goes for even like as a Mexican and a person who's also lived in the US. I think sometimes Latin America does a little bit of a better job, but especially in the US, sometimes like they shelter the kids, and you have this idea that you have like very kiddie shows and very like kiddie cartoons, and like they kind of like they kind of dumbify and simplify like the plots in anime from like the very beginning. Even like the quote most kiddiest show still has something for an adult audience for you to kind of appreciate, which is a very unique and powerful medium and stuff like that. But yeah.
Well, in the Japanese like society, right? They already teach the kids independence at like 2 or 3 years old where they could walk to school. So I think that kind of like is in line with how their society kind of works. Because over here it's kind of like unheard of to let your child who's like 4 years old walk to preschool and also take like public transportation. So that kind of that's I think that's why there's a little bit of a difference. Um, yeah, but one of the things too, like with like Digimon, as they focus and they kind of camouflage it to be more appealing for kids, but I think it just teaches you a lot. So yeah, I agree with what you're saying.
No, I'm happy you agree, and it's one of the reasons
Yeah,
why we actually became friends, like you and I, and then my wife when we started dating. Like we were all fans of Digimon, and it was nice because I honestly growing up, I felt like no one was a fan of Digimon. I just remember everyone's like, "No, Pokemon's boo." I'm like, dude, Pokemon's weak, bro. Like, come on. Oh, I gotta throw a ball, and if you don't throw the ball, it doesn't catch you. Like, nah, dude. Freaking Digimon, they talk. You know what I
yeah,
mean? And then
yeah.
like way better. And then okay, the digi evolvements or the digi like when you digivolve, bro.
It's
Some of
cool.
like the greatest moments of my life was seeing like certain characters evolve, dude. Like I
Well,
remember you
it's
talking about this, right? Yeah, you have a particular memory of a particular digivolvement, right?
yeah. So I don't remember. I don't remember what season it was because again, it was a long time ago. But I do remember when the season finale was coming on and Angel Woman was gonna come out. I forced my parents to let me have one of like their VHSs and record it. And I remember I was like crying, making sure I could get it done. And they didn't understand why I was so desperate to get this like on recording just so I could watch it again because we had to do something. I think I was bowling. I used to bowl a lot when I was younger, so I probably went to like a bowling tournament, but I was like desperate to make sure I could get a copy of this so I could watch it again because back then they didn't do a lot of like what is it called? They don't replay a lot of the episodes. You have to wait like a year or so, and I didn't want to miss this. But Angel Woman was my favorite. That evolution when him and Injamon came out, that was super super cool. I remember being so like amazed by it, and because like our family like really like art, we draw and paint and stuff like that. Just seeing all of the graphics at the time was very captivating. I was like, dang, I want to be able to do this. But yeah, I don't do it now. I'm an accountant.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that
No,
was
yeah. I remember that. It was a moment, dude. It was a moment like the good guys were about to lose. You know what I mean? And I remember like Angelmon, who's like little Patamon, he's like little cute orange and white bat thing, turns into an angel, and he's holding it down. And it's like he's giving out, and this little cat that ends up being part of Kai's sister's thing. She like starts. She's like, no, I gotta help out, and then all of a sudden you see her glow, and you hear the song. Dit, 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 dit.
Yeah,
and then Battlemon, did you evolve too? And then, dude, like it's so unexpected. Why would a cat become an angel? Who cares? It was awesome, dude. And then, like, it was a moment. She came through, dude. She came through when the world needed her most.
Yeah, but I remember. I don't know if it was Digimon. I know for sure Sailor Moon did this, but they also like presented androgynous, and they also talked about so that was really cool as well where they're challenging that. I think with Angelmon and Angel Woman, they also had that kind of like, they were kind of promoting that somehow. I forgot what it was. I just remember it was, we weren't really sure what the sex was, right? And that's something that was kind of like a big deal back then because we're more open now as a society, but back then it wasn't really like, it was kind of like looked at a little bit weird. So I remember I was a little bit puzzled by that, but it was really cool that they're already presenting that. So yeah, we never know what like the gender was. But obviously now we know, right? Angel Woman is a girl and Angelmon's a guy. But I think it's still unclear though. I'm not 100% sure. But for Sailor Moon, I'm trying to Google it right now. But with Sailor Moon, a lot of like the other like Sailor Scouts, there's like a handful of them like Uranus and a few other ones. They were very androgynous. They wore like suits all the time, had the short hair and stuff. So that was very forward of them.
Well, to your point, yeah, thanks for bringing that up. That's actually a really good point because there is one Digimon that comes to mind of their OG ones that like is for sure androgynous or intersexual or whatever you want to call it because it technically changes genders. So I was able to get the image. Let me see. Let me try this again. Let me see if
in Digimon for Digimon.
Yeah, it was a
Togemon.
It was
okay. So I wasn't crazy. I remember this because I don't remember because I was like, this is weird when I was growing up watching it. But I'm like, this is not that weird. This is actually really cool.
It was cool. Like I didn't even question it. So like, okay, so like this is like the first involvement of Togemon. I forget what it's called, or maybe I can look up. Maybe I can look up Togemon's involvement.
Yeah, but this was the girl that I really liked. I forgot her name.
Oh yeah, May.
The person there it is. Yeah, I loved her. Yeah. I wanted to be her.
No, yeah, she was cool, dude. She was
cool. She was so cool. I liked her a lot.
Oh, okay, so it looks like Palamon. Okay, hold on. So Tanamon is the name of the first one, which is the one that looks like kind of like an onion kind of thing. And then Tolemon turns into hold on, I mixed them up. Apparently it has two branches of different forms, which is pretty cool. Turns into what is it?
I'm looking at the Wikia page.
Yeah, no, but it's kind of confusing because I didn't realize. Okay, so the traditional one from the show is Palmon, and after Palmon it becomes Togemon. After Togemon, so that the Togemon looks like a dude, right? Dude with boxing gloves, and then it becomes Lilymon. Yeah. All right, Lilymon for sure looks like a chick, right? Has feminine features, looks like she has a skirt.
Yeah.
But then her final involvement, which is Rosemon, totally looks like a dude, right? So that's like one of those things where like,
but then it has boobs though. Oh, yeah, no, I know what you're talking about.
Whoa, that's a good point.
Yeah, but I remember there was let me see. I can't even pronounce this right.
Oh no, it says it is a feminine Digimon. Okay, so maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it is a girl the whole time.
No, they had another one though, because I remember it was kind of like a question, but I forgot what it was, or it was kind of like yeah, it's kind of interesting because and after that, when I was googling it before, they were saying that all Digimon doesn't have a gender. That's
Oh, that
another one
makes
as
sense.
well. That's
That
another
makes
one as
sense.
well. So it was kind of like because I think the one that everybody was confused about was Renamon.
Randomon, who's that?
Yeah, I'm gonna find this one. Let me see. It's the one that looks like Evie. It's just
Oh yeah. This is one of the
yeah.
ones from the. Oh, so then you okay? So then you did watch the newer seasons. That's a newer season in Digimon.
I watch so many things. Sometimes I just forget and I get confused sometimes
Yeah,
because I
yeah.
watch
This
so
is
many
yeah.
things. That
I
happens a
think
lot.
I believe
Yeah.
this is the season where they could actually fuse with their
Yeah.
digital monster. But yeah,
It's just kind of hard because like a lot of like the animes that we like, they'll be renewed for another season, but it'll take years. Like one of the ones I really liked is Free. It took like I don't know 1,000 years for the second or third season
sure,
to come out, and
sure.
I forgot the plot. Got to rewatch it again. I'm like, do I want to rewatch it again?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
It's
My
tough.
favorite
Yeah.
anime is Black Lagoon, and it's been on hiatus for forever. Like the creator went in depression and like stopped making the mangas, but he recently came back, which is super exciting. And he's came out with some couple of mangas, and I've been catching up to it. And he's been doing a phenomenal job. I'm very biased, but like, yeah, Black Lagoon's great. It's like yeah, it has something for everybody. It's a the best way I could explain it to somebody who hasn't watched any anime at all or has no idea what Black Lagoon's about. It's basically like Tarantino movie, but kind of also dabbles with like philosophy or something like that. It has action, but it also has a deep plot and there's like layers to it, and like some of the fight scenes are over the top, but at the same time the world is still grounded in realism. So I know what you mean when like you're waiting for something to come back and it doesn't. And like I don't expect it to have an anime anytime in the future, but the manga was holding me off for now. But I know what you mean. It's like one of those things.
Mm.
Or Hajime no Ippo is another one of my favorites, and it's not likely that one
The
would
boxing
ever
one, right?
return. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's not likely that one's ever gonna return anytime soon, just because like it didn't make money. It's one of those ones that like lost money when it came out, but then it had like a
Really?
cult following, like
Yeah, it
sort of,
did. I know.
sort of, sort
Yeah,
of.
I heard.
Like it was popular, but not enough for it to like for the studio to like sustain like
Mm,
another season. I believe it was something related to that because I know they even came out with movies too. But yeah, or it could be a studio. Maybe I'm speaking out of turn. Maybe all this is just because like the studio just decided not to. But from my understanding, I thought it was like a budget thing. So yeah, but
perhaps. Who knows?
yeah, we could talk about Digimon for forever, dude. I know we're very passionate about that, and I appreciate you for being passionate with me about Digimon on one of our childhood nostalgic animes. But
Yeah.
just to continue on with our history with anime, could you kind of give me like a little bit of a timeline? It doesn't have to be super exact, but like what did you watch after Digimon, and how did you like, and kind of maybe fast forward to where you are today? How did you like venture into different genres? Because you and I both know there's like all kinds of different types of anime. So if you can kind of give me kind of like a timeline of like all the different
Well,
animes like you watched as you were growing up and into your adulthood now.
so after Digimon, I don't really remember what I really stuck to. Part of the reason why is because my household is pretty conservative, and then you know, I've gotten into Lord of the Rings, and that was kind of like already pushing it with my family. They're like, "Why are you watching this? This is all about magic." And then anime was kind of demonized in um like in our community because like everyone that watch it, they overheard what otaku was, and they're like, "Oh no, your kid's gonna be really weird." So I kind of like took a break from it a little bit until maybe like my last year of high school, and kind of just revisited some of the anime that I watched before. But it was finally when I was like in my 20s that I rewatched Tokyo Ghoul. I know it's been quite some time, but I think Tokyo Ghoul came out really late. Let me see. What year did it come out? So that kind of brought me back to watch anime, which is 2014. Actually, when did Free come out? I think that was the same time I watched Free. Ooh, okay. So it was both. It was both. So I watched Free and I watched Tokyo Ghoul, which is they're on two completely different spectrums. But yeah, so it was finally like in my 20s that I started watching it again, and I had to be very quiet about watching it because everyone was just like super harsh about it. Um, yeah. So I watched that, and it's kind of spotty, but yeah, it's just every time I try to like bring it up with some of my friends, like at church and stuff like that, they're just like, "Why do you want to watch this? Like for kids?" And like, "Oh, you're that weird. You're like the weird Asian, you know." And it's just kind of like uncomfortable to kind of just talk about it. So I was just watching in secret. I was just watching in secret, so nobody knows. Yeah,
So that became the journey where you on to now and stuff. That makes sense. So like
yeah,
you had to slowly pull yourself back into it. Yeah,
yeah.
I'm trying to remember my so like I was watching a lot of anime as I was growing up, but I didn't realize it was anime. Because after Digimon, I remember I got into this thing called Ultimate Muscle, and I believe in
Hmm.
Japanese they call it Kinnikuman. Because bro,
Hmm.
it's like lucha libre, and I say
Hmm.
lucha libre specifically because like American pro wrestling is very like fake sloppy and like whatever. Lucha libre, a lot of those people actually cross train, like a lot of Japanese pro wrestlers cross train with Mexican pro wrestlers.
Hmm.
We got the flips, we got the back flips, we got like way more like aerobatic stuff. And seeing that as a kid, I'm like, bro, there's a cartoon about Lucha Libre. Like my brain didn't put the math together. Like, no, it's an anime, but like, bro, it was crunk, dude. And like the
Yeah,
narrator had like the coolest voice ever. He had like this like yeah, it was just cool. And the main character, like that guy that did the dub, like deserves an Oscar, bro, because that guy had an amazing voice and like he just made everything cool. Like, you know what I mean? And as a
yeah,
kid, like I didn't really like main characters. Because most of the main characters are kind of cheesy. They're like, oh, they're gonna win. They're like in normal Western media, they're not as given as much depth as they are in anime. But now that I
hmm,
look back, it's like, oh, I think I was appreciating the depth even like back then. And
yeah.
then so I remember I watched Ultimate Muscle, and then I watched Yu-Gi-Oh! But I think before Yu-Gi-Oh! I watched Kirby. I remember Kirby had an anime, and I remember Sonic also had an anime. I didn't
Actually,
watch them fully, but I know I like watched them occasionally. I think I also watched Monster Rancher. I remember that like yellow guy with the one eye. I remember seeing that with the kid. I saw that a little bit. And then I occasionally saw the OG Dragon Ball with my dad when I was
yeah.
a kid, but I didn't even know I was watching Dragon Ball. It would, for some reason, when we were watching Telemundo growing up, like after me and my dad, 9 times out of 10, what am I watching with my dad? We're watching the action movie because it's my dad, right?
Yeah,
Hey, Nico, we're going to
yeah.
watch this. And right after the action movie, whether it was Bruce Lee, Jackie Chan, Chuck Norris, whoever it was, for some reason, Telemundo would love to play action anime right after it. And nine
Hmm.
times out of 10, it was Dragon Ball. So me and my dad are just like, whoa, because it's just like, they're like flash fighting scenes. And I know you're not a Dragon Ball person and stuff. And I'm not saying you have to be, but it just as someone who doesn't have no context behind it. And like, even just keep in mind too, like, I didn't know who the characters were. I just got sucked into, I'm like, dude, these fight scenes look like they're pretty well drawn and they're going back and forth and they're like,
Yeah,
they're just, they're boxing for lack of a better kickboxing, like legitly. I was like, wow, like this was
yeah.
very well coordinated and everything. And then, I remember growing up, like Dragon Ball was really big at that time, but I didn't get to see Dragon Ball Z as I was a kid. I didn't have a way of watching it. Like we didn't have cable or anything. I remember even visiting my family in Mexico. Like all my cousins were obsessed with it, and like, dude, it was everywhere. It still is. Like you would think that like Dragon Ball is airing today, which it kind of is because I know what is it? What is it? Dragon Ball. Oh, Daima. I was so
Yeah,
off. Daima.
yeah,
So, yeah, like, dude, it's still everywhere over there. Like, you'll see it in chips, you'll see it in a random liquor store. Why? I don't know. And like, the person probably doesn't even know who Dragon Ball is, but it's just like, no, I don't know. It just looks cool. It's just well drawn.
yeah,
And then, I would argue the person that quote unquote got me into anime per se, is my wife because she was a huge Studio Ghibli fan growing up.
yeah.
And then, like, she introduced me to all these amazing films. Hayao Miyazaki is just an amazing director. His characters have so much depth. His backgrounds alone, like you just want to get lost into this universe. Like every still looks like a painting. It's just gorgeous and it's just beautiful.
Hmm.
Then through her and through streaming too, like having more and more things available, that's what also like allowed me to finally like kind of catch up on anime and all these like different things, at least now. And then, eventually having access to like Crunchyroll and stuff like that, like now I have way more access to like watch all kinds of like different shows. But yeah.
Yeah. Actually, I wanted to correct it. I did watch a lot of like a lot of animated movies and stuff like that, but never really followed a show because I couldn't be I couldn't really be very honest about it, since like I forgot to mention that I was also like a youth leader at one point, and they were not allowed to like watch anything that would entice, because a lot of anime had a lot of fan service and a lot of it had like questionable things and stuff like that. So I still kept in touch with some of it because like I did watch a lot of Studio Ghibli when I was growing up. I did watch Inuyasha. I completely forgot about that. And there was a few other ones too. Like I did watch Yu-Gi-Oh because I remember when I was very active in bowling, and this was when I was like I think 13, 12, 13. The guy I was crushing on was like, "Hey, so do you find any anime characters like hot?" And that was the first time I've ever had anybody ask me that. And he's like, "I actually like Yu-Gi-Oh," like, and it threw me off a little bit. It threw me off a little bit. And then there's Linked, right? Everybody like Linked. Um, yeah, but it was just I think I still kept in touch with it, but I couldn't really like dive deep into it because every time I wanted to like express more interest in any of these animated shows, it was kind of like met with a lot of backlash where people kind of like stepped away from me, and because it wasn't very cool, and that kind of bothered me a lot, and that also caused me to also be a little bit more detached from like my like with my roots, being Indonesian. Um, and growing up in an area where there's not a lot of Asians, I grew up with a lot of like Hispanic whites and blacks and stuff. So when I was over there, they used to make fun of the fact that I spoke Indonesian, so I didn't really speak it that much. So I kind of like furthered my way from that. So anything that would be Asian, I kind of just stayed away. Um, so yeah, so that kind of influenced like my journey as well. And then it was finally like I started um, getting into K-pop, which I'm not really sure how I got into it. I just saw like Taeyang's wedding dress, and then that just opened up my like Asian side again. So that was a pivotal time because after I got into Big Bang, I got into like a fan group, and then that's when I started watching a lot more anime, and it was free that actually got me back into it. Kind of forgot because it's been so long. It's been long, so yeah,
No, I
um,
understand. It's not
yeah,
a
so
it's not an
yeah,
easy
kind of
thing to like look back and reflect like, hey, when was it exactly? Yeah, yeah. No worries.
yeah, because like, and I remember too when I was like really into like free, because I know it has like a lot of fan service, but the plot is actually pretty good because I'm a perfectionist, and bowling was like my thing, And then when I was younger, I was really good. I even made it to like the semifinals for like Junior Olympics and stuff. And then I kind of hit like a plateau, and that's kind of like something that Haru and Makoto and all of them were kind of just like. That's kind of like the general theme of free. It's like when you're a kid, you're a prodigy, and so forth. So I kind of engaged with that, right? Because everything that I would do, which is why I identify with Oikawa a lot. Um, no matter how hard you try, you just can't be the best, and that's really hard. And that's why like I really got into free. And you know, I kind of lost what I was trying to say, but that's kind of like because the people that I was close with when I was like listening or getting really into Big Bang, they recommended it, and then that just opened up the door again. And then I found like a community within my church that watch anime, so we switched animes that we really like. So they got me into Lelouch Rebellion, which I really loved, and then I started watching Attack on Titan, and then it was so many different things. So it kind of like it was just nice because I felt like kind of healed myself finding that community. And then I found out about Anime Expo. I volunteered for 2 years, and that just got me. I just didn't stop from that point on. But then I kind of got really deep into like anime where I started watching so many different genres. And then it got really dark, and I had to like pull myself back and watch like happy stuff. So I had to make sure that like in my list of animes that I watch, I had to make sure it's not only like crazy stuff. But yeah, so just wanted to expand a little bit on my journey there.
No, I'm happy that I was able to like re-remind you of like the different
Yeah.
things you watched too. But wait, This is like the first time ever hearing this, and we've been friends for almost like 11, no longer, like 13 plus years. You volunteered at an anime expo? Which one was
Yep.
that? And how? And
20,
what city was it?
2013. No, this is the
Tell me
one in
the
LA.
experience.
2013 and 2014. When we used to work together, Arturo, one of the
Ironically, yeah.
yeah, so one of the executive assistants there actually volunteered at Anime Expo since like 2010, and then I told him, and that's how we ended up bonding. And then he was like, "Hey, since you like anime too, why don't you like join me? Because I really like drawing too. So I know the dates are kind of off because like I can't remember what other stuff I watched, but yeah, because I know that like yeah. So anyway, he got me in as like an IT like helper. So all I had to do was just make sure like the computers were all running. So I volunteered for 2 years in a row, and then that's when I was kind of like blown away at the impact of like anime because back then I really felt like the group was very like small. Like there wasn't a lot of fans because people that I talked to weren't really into anime. Beside that little group that I had that was able to like tell me which one to watch and they'll recommend what to watch and stuff like that. And when I went, I was kind of blown away at like how freaking crazy it was because they have day zero and that's when you pick up like the tickets and stuff like that. So I had to volunteer that day. They pay for your hotel, you get like a stipend to eat, and then they just bunk you in with like random people. And like there's a stereotype that comes with being like an anime fan. Like you don't have social skills, you probably like, are just into you're just an otaku, like where you're the derogatory term, where you're just only fixated on like just the manga, you don't talk to anybody, and that's kind of like how a lot of like people who are not into anime, that's how they looked at it. And so that's why they're always like, oh, you're kind of weird. So I was kind of like preparing myself to kind of like engage with all different kind of personalities. So the group that I ended up mingling with, they partied really hard. Like they all unloaded their clothes, they got all their cosplay ready, and all of a sudden they were just out drinking already. And I was like, oh wow, this is actually really different because I didn't know anybody there besides the person that recommended me, but he was put in a different room because he was like a supervisor. So I ended up going with like some of the girls in my group, and I went to a party with them, and they drank a lot, and I couldn't hang. And they had a club at the end of every like they had an actual club at the anime expo every night, and all the drinks were named by all the different characters and stuff like that. So it kind of blew me away. I did not expect it to be like that, and that's when I'm just like, anime is a lot cooler than what people give, what they instead of like they don't get really good credit and stuff like that. But that's what I realized, like it's actually a lot bigger than what I could imagine because of how like frowned upon it was back then. Yeah.
No, yeah, I know what you mean. No, thank you for sharing that story. That's super interesting. I because of your comment about like the 2013 animes, or because you said you started 2013.
But I volunteered 2013 and 2014.
Okay, so I was looking
Yeah.
up the hit animes in 2013, and this is what came up.
Kill
It's
a Kill, right?
yeah, Kill la Kill, Attack on Titan,
Yeah.
Psycho Pass, uh,
Psychopaths, yes.
Free, Little Witch
Mm-hmm.
Academia, Shin
Mm-hmm.
Sakai, Monogatari, which I've seen, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
Sword Art Online. See if anything wins. Golden Time, Ayuda, Strike the Blood.
Mm-hmm.
A Lull in the Sea, Mayu, Love Life. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and yeah, of course, yeah. And Attack on Titan, because it ended not that long ago, so it's crazy that it started way back then. And then you
Well,
said
yeah,
you
they had like a 5 year. They had like such a long hiatus. The same thing with Free. They had
right.
such a long hiatus. Yeah.
So let's see. And then you said so you were also 2014. So let's see. Let's see what the ones. Okay, so Kill a Kill, Hunter x
Mm-hmm.
Hunter, of course, it's a classic. Parasite, Tokyo Ghoul, Sailor Moon Crystal, which I think is like the remake, right? It's supposed to be like a
Yeah.
more. And then Fate Stay Night, Your Lie in April, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Tokyo Ghoul, which you already mentioned.
Tokyo Ghoul Re. We don't talk about that one, by the way. I'm just kidding. I do not like Tokyo Ghoul Re. Nope.
I didn't even know there was a Ghoul re.
Well, they kind of it's because I think actually followed the manga, and I kind of stopped reading it after that point. Because I just there was too many things at the time, and then Tokyo Ghoul Re kind of like revamped the entire series. I forgot what it was. I didn't watch it. I just know that like it had really bad feedback So I didn't bother wasting my time there.
Sure.
So
No,
my
yeah.
opinion on that is just based on what I've been reading from everybody else, because I'm not gonna watch it if it's not worth it.
Okay. Yeah, no worries. But
Yeah,
you've been hitting on it too, and just to kind of touch on it briefly, I know what you mean about like the stigma of being like an anime fan and stuff, and then
yeah.
because you're talking about your community. I know like sometimes churches or just conservative communities, they're kind of like assume that like anything anime is kind of like hentai, trashy. That has this weird stigmas and like grossness to it. But most of it's based on ignorance. Yes, a lot of anime does have fan service. Yes,
Well, I mean, Free was like my favorite one. It's like fan service nonstop. Oh my god! But it
sure.
has a plot though. It has a good plot. Okay.
Sure. And the thing is too is that like I think it's okay for those things to exist because I know we've talked about it in previous conversations because especially coming from Japan, Japan's a very conservative place. So the
Hmm.
fact that they even have some kind of medium where maybe like a pubescent or adolescent person can like almost become empowered through their different forms of like sexuality and their body and figures and like it's okay. It's okay on some level. Is it okay to be a perv? I don't think being a perv is a horrible thing. Is it bad to be predatory? Absolutely. But I don't think there's anything wrong to have like an attraction to people. And I think it even shows into like the cosplay community that go all out and you have different types of cosplays, right? You have people that are just like creative, people that are really good and really crafty and they can like form all these like lucrative stuff and some of them are willing and some of them aren't, but there's still like an artistic process to it. So yeah, I don't know. I think there's like a lot of layers to that when it comes to it, and I feel like fan service has its place too. But then there's something where it's like overly fan service, and it's like, okay,
Well, the
what's the
killer
point?
the killer kill like joke is that the stronger she gets, the less clothing she gets, and I'm like, it's barely covering her boobs. Like, is it? So I mean, at some point there is a line that you kind of have to like draw, but it can be dangerous. But that's where like you just have to rely on like your social circle to kind of keep you in check because
Sure,
when I was at like Anime Expo, there was some like concerning things there that I saw that was a little bit like, okay, this is part of the reason why I kind of want to make sure I'm not too deep into the community, because like there's like a lot of adult that dress like kids, right? And then when they do dress like kid, they kind of like try to mingle with the younger ones where it does become a little bit predatory. Because I did feel unsafe at some point when I was over there, because like, but it's a very like blurred line for you to be able to kind of like identify that. Um, but like as a whole, our society is not perfect, right? So you may be innocent in one way, but it'll be received a different way. So you just have to be a little bit more mindful of that. But it's kind of hard to kind of like establish that where you're going because again, everybody's different. So it's a little bit hard. Because I actually have a little bit of a problem when the fan service is a little bit overboard. And I'm saying this and I like Free, right? But like in Fire Force, like I really like Fire Force. Benimaru, of course, is my favorite. He came up with like one of the top sounds, right, of like all of anime history. But one of the other characters in there, every time she like trips or something, all of her clothes come off, and she's like 16 years old. I'm like, dude, why are they doing this all the time? They don't have to add that little like tidbit to it, but I know that like it's funny, but it's just kind of like concerning because like how old she is, but um as like but in the context of this of where they're at, 16-year-old they have to be adults because they're defending their country from or their world from like these like evil these like bad people and stuff like that. So kind of like with Demon Slayer too, like Tanjiro's like 15, but they had to grow up so fast. So I kind of understand it from there, because when you're 16, you're already an adult, it's just like that's how it was like 50, 60 years ago. But it's just, I just have a little bit of problems sometimes when they have to like, you
no,
know,
yeah,
it's just a little bit, especially when like Netsuko, she's like 12 years old and all of a sudden she grows up into like this chick that's like full figured and they sexualize her a lot, and then that comes into like a different like topic where like, as like at my age watching like Haikyuu, they're like, why are you like so in love with like Hajime? And I'm like, okay, athletic trainer when he's 27. That's when I like, not when he's like 16. when he's an athletic trainer for the Japan national team. That's the Hajime I like.
Right,
Like,
right.
yeah,
Right. Yeah, that's one of those things that is like, yeah, it would be nice if they sexualized the underage people much less. Yeah, for sure.
yeah,
For
yeah,
sure. And Dandadan, a newer anime that like definitely sexualizes its characters, but I think Dandadan is a nice balance that I think it talks about like I think it does a great job of talking about the pubescent adolescent experience where
hmm,
like most of the scenes that become sexualized, it's kind of almost like accidental and situational. And like
yeah,
even like the male and female, like they don't even know how to interact because it's like awkward in that
yeah,
moment.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
so, but yeah, but no, the mangaka does sexualize, you know, especially the female characters a lot. And sometimes you wish that maybe they wouldn't do it as much, or maybe just kind of like, hey, can there be like an unspoken rule, like maybe only the adults, so it's like less creepy on some
Yeah,
level.
but it
Yeah.
doesn't. But I know for sure it doesn't really sell very much, which is why, like in the U.S., like for the westerns, right? Almost all of the popular TV shows are people in high school still, and I'm just like, dude, what's going on? Like, To All the Boys I Loved Before is like one of them, and then I forgot the one that came out with, is it Never Have I Ever? I forgot what is. There's another one, like a lot of like Euphoria, for example, right? But fortunately, all the actors are like in their 20s and 30s,
Oh
but
yeah,
like still,
Euphoria. Yeah.
but they're like all high schoolers. They're like 16-year-olds. They're playing
Yeah, it's
16-year-olds
weird.
and stuff. So yeah, like there's a fascination with like teenagers and stuff. So I understand why like a lot of like these new shows, like Given, that's like my favorite like anime and stuff like that. But at least it's like not as sexualized, I guess. But it's
No, no, no.
16
Given's
again.
definitely tasteful. Like, and even when it does
Oh,
lean
so you liked
into,
it?
I
This
did enjoy
guy.
it.
So I was okay. So story time. I don't know what happened, but I tapped back into Given after like so many years. So I watched it like I watched all the three movies a few days ago when I was supposed to watch something else that I don't know, it's just in my feels. And then I decided to like um rewatch Given because I don't know, I just ended up listening to like the album on my like Spotify. It just popped up. And then when I watched the last three, AZ Ray over here was asked like, we're talking about like this podcast or whatever, and like he was recommending a few shows, and then I recommended a few shows, but then I ended up not doing anything that he recommended because I just wanted to go into my feelings. And I rewatched the last three movies of Given, and like, oh my god, I cried so much. It's so good. So then I recommended it to him, and he watched the entire series. Thank you, Arturo. Thank you.
No
There we go.
problem. No problem. Happy to
Done.
be supported. I don't know. I try to be. If someone gives me an assignment, I try to complete it. So,
Yeah.
no,
So
it was great.
your feedback. How
My
did you like it?
feedback on Given, it was
Mhm.
beautiful. It was tasteful. I'm happy that like it did a good job of like, you know, as like a boys love anime, and like it was slow to build up, but it was a good slow build up. And it was, and then it had like the gusto to be like, to say like, yeah, it's okay to be gay, which I think is beautiful and powerful in these times, or just in any times, that there's a show that's willing to lean into it and not like skirt the line. Because we also have a lot of like, you know, gay or lesbian baiting where they're like, oh, will they, won't. That's like, no, they actually said it, which was
Mm.
beautiful and powerful, especially for people that are like, you know, are into this type of things. And maybe they'll be more comfortable in coming like out of the closet, or just be more empowered with their sexuality. So I found that very powerful. And then it just, the characters were just like likable, and like the relatability. And as someone who also knows how to play guitar, like I completely agree with the metaphor of like, you know, that the guitar is like a heart. It absolutely is, because
Mhm.
although someone can play the same song, everyone plays the same song differently, slightly, because everyone expresses themselves differently.
Yeah.
Everyone plucks the strings slightly differently. Everyone has their own arrangements. So it was beautiful. It was very well done. uh
How did
I
you like
think
episode 9? That's like my favorite
episode
one. How did you like that one?
It was
The performance.
amazing. It was amazing, man. It was amazing when you see that, like, after, spoiler alert, after the character gets the kiss, and you just see like the emotion, you know, he's like alive again. He's like shooken from the world. He's no longer frozen and still without being able to express his emotions. He's alive again. He's like defibrillator, like, oh my goodness, like wow, this is love, this is life, and this is what I want. And
Mhm.
like the fact that it was powerful enough where this guy, the character, was frozen, was unprepared to what to sing in that moment. And that kiss was like just everything that, like, validated, like, just, like their relationship. And it just validated, just like what he did was amazing, because he was able just like to sing his heart out, and he gave like his approval. The other character, it was phenomenal, it was phenomenal, it was
Yeah,
like, wow. And it was just well done. It was a great build up, you know what I mean? And yeah, it
yeah,
was just a kiss, but it was amazing, because then you get a flashback of all the trauma and everything they went through, and then it helps you understand like both people better. And they both
mhm,
needed it. They both needed that connection, like, from each other. And like it comes off very authentic. It doesn't even have like a it doesn't feel rushed, doesn't feel forced, doesn't feel weird. It just feels
yeah.
natural and beautiful, and like we're seeing like a relationship blossom. So yeah, it was
Mhm.
great. I would give it like an 8 out of 10. It was phenomenal. I'd highly recommend it. And I'm starting the movies as we speak, so I'll give a potential full review once I'm done with all those. It was great. It was phenomenal.
That's fine.
Yes.
I think it's awesome. That's like one of my favorites. Well,
Yeah.
because like the one of the biggest things too, because like I guess like it's just a different perspective, because you never had, well, spoiler if you haven't seen it. Um, it's always interesting to kind of see how people grieve, because he's a kid, Mafuyu, which is the red hair. He, was in a relationship with a childhood best friend, and the fact that like I don't know if they. I forgot if they got deep into it, because I did read some of like the manga and like the short stories and stuff. So his ex boyfriend, or the boyfriend that passed away, Yuki, had a lot of like mental health issues and stuff like that. So he didn't really know how to balance his emotions really well. So the relationship was technically very toxic. Well, but they were really young, so they didn't really know how to like navigate it healthy and stuff. But there was a miscommunication there, and then Yuki killed himself. So Mafuyu didn't really know how to like go through the whole process. And it's just amazing that, through the music and through connecting with, I can't pronounce his name, Yunoyama. I can't pronounce it. Yeah. Or Ritsuka. There you go. Um, just him willing to take up that responsibility, which a lot of people kind of like debate over whether or not that's actually like a good thing to do. But sometimes having a helping hand is useful to get over your grief and stuff like that. But just seeing how he was willing to work with him and just like understand him and be patient with him. He's like green flag all the way, even though he's like they're still young. But it's very nice to kind of just see a very healthy way to like migrate from that situation. And then yeah, they had their moment. It was just so amazing. I love it so much. When you watch the movie, you'll find out more stuff, which is so great. I love it.
Okay. I look
Yeah,
forward to it. Uh,
yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah, it was great, and yeah, it was
Mm,
definitely very healthy. But to go to piggyback on what you were saying, yeah, and the
mm,
words of you too, the famous song, sometimes you can't make it on your own, and that's okay.
yeah,
You need
yeah,
somebody to pull you out of the storm.
yeah.
But yeah, I'm happy that we were able to tell a little bit about like our history with like different animes and stuff, but just to kind of transition back to the central theme of this video or this interview or this audio podcast, if you're listening via audio. I like, when did anime become cool, right? So we're talking about our unique stories and how to transition into like your hypothesis. What do you think are like the different like hypotheses and theories, and how like this cool Japanese animation thing, fast forward till today, maybe we could even say COVID was like another big boom other than the early 90s. What's your theory, Miss Cha, sociologist? What do you think? Like, why we are where we are today, when before you were more shunned than me, because like I think I didn't know what it was then, so I didn't
Mm,
feel any stigma about it. But I do remember hearing things like, "Oh, you like hentai," and I'm like, "Dude, I don't even know what any of that stuff was." And I didn't get so, but I'll be honest too, because I remember I was like hesitant to check out different anime, and I was curious because like, dude, Dragon Ball seemed awesome. I remember, again, I always felt left out that like all these people saw Dragon Ball Z, and then I remember Naruto was like the thing
mm,
too. But once again, like I didn't have a means of watching it. You know, I didn't grow up with money. We didn't have the means of like anything cable. We couldn't like all we had was basic television, so I had no means of watching it. Hence why most of my anime early on was just whatever was on Saturday night TV. But what about for you? What
And
do you
Cartoon Network,
right?
Adult
But I didn't
Swim.
eventually I had access to Cartoon
Yeah.
Network, but I didn't have it growing up. Yeah, like yeah,
Oh
Cartoon
yeah, yeah.
Network, Toonami, Adult Swim, all that kind of stuff. But why do you think anime is cool now? How do you think that happened?
So there's a clear difference with the way anime looked in the 90s versus now. And then a lot of the animes now, though, is kind of paying homage to the 90s, but a little bit more beautified. So I think, like, in the 90s, because of, I think social media really played a big role in that, though. But I also think because of the way that anime looks now, it's a lot more appealing to the eyes, especially with, like, all the graphics and stuff, you know? I think like COVID really did make a huge difference in like the fandom because in 2014 when I went to Anime Expo, they had like over 100,000 attendants attendees every day. That's already a lot of people just from SoCal. So I think like it already had like it had a pretty good like following, but it became super mainstream just because of COVID. TikTok was a huge pioneer of like how big it got now because like the fan edits, well, people were bored. They didn't really know what else to watch. And then because like TikTok was like promoting all of these shows, Netflix started picking up more like anime, then Funimation merged with Crunchyroll. Everything just became a lot more like accessible. But COVID was when everything blew up because Gojo, Daddy Gojo, like took over the entire world with his blue eyes and his white hair. I have a thing for like characters that have like white hair. I don't know what it is. They're always my favorite. But I really think like over the last like 5 to 6 years, it just took off a lot more, especially since like um, a lot of the kids in like the 2010s when all of the really big, the ones that we remember like Kill la Kill, all this kind of stuff, they grew up with that and now they're adults. And now that they have money to be able to put into um, their interest and it's not as like, frowned upon, especially since video game also is a big like it coincides with like anime, like Final Fantasy is really huge, and then there's Resident Evil, all those kind of stuff. It kind of helped bring everything together. So I think like the tipping point was COVID, but I think everything's been building up to that, especially with our tech advances. Because Instagram too came out in like 2012, and then after that, there's what was the other one besides Instagram? And then there's Vine, and all these things. So all of these like social media like advances just to help put more exposure with anime.
Yeah, well, I
And
know
then
Pinterest too still has like people following stuff. And
yeah.
then maybe to give YouTube some light, like there's a lot of like anime
Oh, that's
AMV
right.
videos,
It's a
all those
huge one.
YouTube like AMV, and then you had like people just have like where they want to listen to like a lo-fi. Nine
Yeah.
times out of ten, the background's an anime something character, whether
You know,
either they made it or something like that. Yeah.
one thing that we forgot to mention, Avatar: The Last Airbender, even though that's like still debatable, is anime inspired, but that like changed the course for a lot of people too. And that's like
True.
my favorite.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm not really, I like Aang the most. So, anyways, I feel like that also helped transition anime to being really cool because the graphic art is also really good in that. I think. Is it pretty good? I think so. I think it's pretty good. It's pretty okay, right? The graphic art on Avatar.
Yeah. Well, it's not okay. No, I no. Like it's okay. Yeah, to be honest, like the
I'm
fight
being
scenes,
nice.
like
I'm
the
being nice
fight
about it.
scenes are okay. I think it's the final fight scene when there was budget, but I don't think we didn't watch Avatar for like the production or the animation of it. I think the reason why we fell in love with
The
Avatar,
storyline,
you're right. It does three things well: the story, the characters,
development.
and yeah, the development of the characters, and it's like heartfelt and funny, like, and so like it makes you want to like you care about these characters, you want to see what happens next, and then as the show is nearly done, it humanizes even the villains. You even see that side. It's like, oh, you know, and and which is a classic anime trope that they do well. So yeah, no, I don't think it's because of the quality. I think the only battle that I can like, the only two things that I can think back that like was well done was when
Katara and Zuko and what's her name? I forgot. Azula when they fought. That was
yeah,
really nice. That was
right.
done
And
really
these are
really
the
nice.
final fight scenes. Like these are like the
Yeah,
final
season 3.
couple episodes. And then I would also say the way when he does with the Guru Picta, I think that was his name, the Guru guy. Like that
Oh
scene
yeah,
was
yeah.
interesting and cool and creative. And yeah, there's
Oh, and the dragon
moments.
dance. The
The
dragon
only
dance too.
right, and the only other episode I can think of had like very like interesting animation is when they bump into the witch lady that shows them how to blood bend. That's the only other one that I can think of
That was
that was
really
like
good.
because it was like creepy and interesting, but I don't think it was I don't think it was anything else, and I don't think I don't think the this I'm like, and I'm not trying to tell you that it's badly drawn. It's not badly drawn, but it's not on the same scale as a drawing of like an anime. Like no, not even close. Like are you kidding me? Like but I get your point. I get your point. But that's a good point. We didn't talk about Avatar. But I think another thing that also allowed anime to get more popular, I was actually able to find an article here. Let me see right here. So it looks like can you see my screen right there?
Kim Kardashian
Yeah.
liked. Is this
Yeah.
Akira? No, it's not. Darling.
No, this is a character called Zero Toe from Darling in Franks. It's kind of like a it's like another mech anime. It's similar like to Gundam and whatnot.
What?
So like and
I didn't know that.
she's yeah, so this is her a lot of her hair inspiration and stuff. So she like posted stuff like that. And I know she was
What was
also
this? What year was this? Wait, scroll up. What year was that?
2018. When was this post? I don't know. I'd have to like sign in, but this is from 2018. So maybe it's older,
What the
maybe it's
heck?
new.
I
Yeah,
had
so
no
like
idea.
she's a big celebrity that was like that said stuff that she was super into anime. Tarantino famously is into anime. And then what was it? Ghost in the Shell, the plot of this was like an OG movie that was inspired the Matrix. So that's like, you know, Matrix is like 1999. So it shows you like its effect into cinema. And then
Holy,
there's like
I didn't.
and then there's also Lupin the Third, but he's a character that's honestly more popular in Japan than he is here. I saw the
Mm,
movie that was directed by Hayao Miyazaki's Studio Ghibli movie, and it was funny, cool, and charming. He's supposed to
mm.
be related to Arsène Lupin, which is like a very famous French thief. He's supposed to be like contemporary with the Sherlock Holmes. They're supposed to be in the same universe and stuff, but because of copyright infringements, that's why Lupin couldn't come here for like the longest time. Like this character Lupin the Third into the U.S. because it's like no, that's technically a French thing, but you know back then in Japan you could copyright stuff because like no one would know it's in Japanese. But like if you're trying to translate and dub it, people are gonna find out. And so it wasn't
Mhm.
until much later where because it's been around, I think I forget how that works exactly, but now it's in the public domain because it's older than 50 years. So that means that you have access to more things, and now you don't have to worry about like copyright infringements. Like I believe also Popeye is recently now in the public domain, so you can technically like talk and post stuff about Popeye because it's in the public domain because it's just old
Mhm.
enough that it's like an artifact that it's like preserved. So I think those are some other interesting things, and then like other oh, the reason I brought up Lupin, sorry, let me finish my thought, is that Lupin like inspired a lot of like action car chase scenes. Like that series is really known for that and different escape things that this because he's a master thief and he gets himself in all these situations. And a lot of those things inspired things that would later be put in like James Bond films and will actually later on be used in even like Indiana Jones. So it's
Oh.
actually very, very interesting how like it was more subtle. And I completely also agree with your other point that accessibility to anime, I think, is also one of the biggest things that's easier, right? Almost every streaming service has some kind of anime on it. And even when I was living in the UK and even in Ireland, and they have like public or like free little apps you can download, even those things are anime, which I did not expect. And they
Yeah.
even have like anime channels, which like it just goes to the popularity, and then it's on any major streaming service, like whether it's
Yeah.
Prime, whether it's Netflix, whether it's
Crunchyroll.
yeah, Crunchyroll, of course, which is centered around it, or Hulu, you name it, all kinds of different applications, and like they all have some kind of anime focus to them. So I think a combination of the accessibility, like you said, but
Hmm.
also I think the green lighting of various celebrities, seeing how cool it is. Michael B. Jordan's another person that like
Yeah.
kind of give a green light to like his different fan of anime, and he even said like
And Megan the Stallion.
right, Megan the Stallion's a very famous weeb, and she knows her stuff, dude. I've seen like different YouTube clips, and it's like she can name a bunch of characters and stuff. I know Usher is also a big anime person, and he even did like he even
Uh, n-
no, we don't want to talk about Usher. Is that what it is?
no. I think it's because everyone keeps harassing him because of the Daddy's Home song that he finally cosplayed as Gojo. Like I think for like a whole like year after spoiler, you haven't even watched it yet. I don't even. Do you want to know? Do you want to know? You want me to tell you?
Well, I
Did you?
know it's a big deal because like they thought that he was blind, and then he shows the eye, and that was the big. Oh, okay, I don't know
That's
if I'm. Should I know? I
well,
just
I
tell
don't
me.
know because if did you see his actual Instagram post or no?
No, 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 I didn't.
Okay, so it's just um okay. So I'm not gonna spoil it, but something happens to Gojo, and Gojo is like everybody's like king, right? Like everybody loves him. Like I love him. I have a poster of him with Ghetto. Like they're my favorites. Um, and like so something happened to Gojo, obviously, and then he's basically just like not available. Like he's indisposed, and then when finally Gigi decided to make him more available again, they started tagging him on Daddy's Home. Like that's his song. And then if you go onto Usher's like Instagram and his TikTok, you just see Gojo everywhere. Like it'll be like thousands upon thousands of comments. So much. And like when Usher was going to perform for the Super Bowl, they spammed him even more. So they're expecting like Gojo to pop up somewhere. And I think it finally got to Usher because all of his Instagram, like, I mean, the fan group, the fandom for JJK is like super crazy, right? So, you know, is a little bit unhinged. So like they just kept harassing Usher so much that Usher finally gave into the demands. And that's why he posted the thing. Because if you look back at like all of his posts, you'll just see nothing but Gojo on there. I don't know if you knew that. So that's why he cosplays as Gojo because Daddy's Home is Gojo's song. I'm not kidding. Let me say okay. Let me find it for you, and I'll just show you. Like,
Yeah.
dude, it was intense. I have to scroll down a little bit, but and then everyone was saying like, I can't believe Usher decided to spoil because Usher accidentally tweeted something. Well, I don't think accidental. I think he just wrote it, like, or his assistant wrote it, but he wrote a sentence that spoiled it for a lot of people who are not caught up to the manga. So everyone's like, I can't believe I got the biggest spoiler from Usher, and he doesn't even know who Gojo is. So yeah. Anyways, let me see. I'm trying to go back to the post just so that I can show you how bad the comments are. Let's see. It's a while, but it's a lot. Are you looking at his Instagram now or no?
I was about to pull up something else right now, and my dogs are being loud, so that's why I was muted. I was like,
So
oh.
okay, so here, so this I don't know if you can see it. It was this one.
Yeah, I could see it.
Okay, so he tagged Daddy's coming home because he's gonna do the Super Bowl. All of the posts, it literally says Gojo for Gojo. Please include. Oh yeah, just here for the Gojo comments.
Okay.
Do it for Gojo. Like, where is Gojo? Like, everything is Gojo. I know this is very like boomer style, right? Just to show you like this instead of like
No,
anime.
it's fine. It's fine.
But yeah, so like bring out Gojo, 3,000 likes. Usher, please bring Gojo, 2,000 likes. We need Gojo. 2,000 likes. And this is just on one post. His post before that, let's see. Yeah, sing Daddy's Home and bring Gojo out. It's just like people just, and then everybody makes fun of it, right? They're like, I was just probably wondering, what is a Gojo? Oh my goodness, it's so hilarious. But
You
yeah,
really think he didn't know?
I don't think so because like, um, I don't know. I don't think so because there was nothing in like his history. Because somebody did a deep dive on this on TikTok when this got really big. They don't think Usher watched anime or even gave JJK like a chance to watch and stuff. So like, he just got spammed a lot because when Daddy's Home became like Gojo's song, his views on TikTok increased as well, along with his activities and followers. Um, so yeah, I don't think he knew who it was. And then like, yeah, because it was a huge movement for everyone to try to get some sort of acknowledgement. But I think it's really awesome that like the fandom was able to do it because Gojo was such a huge thing in 2020. It's crazy. They even had like shrines of him all over the world, which I don't. They probably did it before, but like now it's a lot more publicized. But like Gojo made a huge impact on the anime community. It's crazy. Like
No,
White
absolutely.
King, like I love him too.
No, yeah, and anime completely exploded during COVID because most like especially because most people were stuck at home. So what were they doing? They were streaming stuff, and what was something that was available to people was anime, and maybe it was their first time, or they could re-explore different animes, and then through like different like algorithms, they can continue to explore that and all that. So that's interesting. No, I had no idea about this whole Usher thing. I had an idea of it, but I didn't know the context. I didn't do a deep dive into like all this stuff. So yeah, thank
No,
you.
the poor man got harassed in every angle when Daddy like he got harassed everywhere. I mean, like, and then after when he posted his story or like his when he did that post too, people were getting mad at him for spoiling the manga, and I'm like, dude, he can't do anything right. It was horrible, but yeah. But anyway, so if you haven't because you haven't watched JJK, probably don't look at his post now or don't read the caption. Just look at the photo. But
Sure,
yeah, yeah. But Gojo is
sure,
not blind. He's
sure.
not blind.
I might eventually give JJK a chance. I just know I've like heard stuff how the manga ended, and I was just like, dude, should
Just
I
end
even
it
put?
at just end it at just the end of season 2. Just don't even continue it after that. They're coming out with the season 3. Just don't watch it.
Okay,
Just don't
okay, right.
because
I know animation wise, it's supposed to be phenomenal. I know the studio did a great job of it. Like so, yeah, I
uh,
probably still enjoy it. Oh, you
no,
disagree?
no,
I've
I
heard
wouldn't say
amazing
that.
things about the animation.
No, they
Maybe just the movie.
a lot of
Yeah.
the stuff were good, but because Mappa was overworked so bad, this is also during the time too, like when people finally realized like how overworked Mappa was. That's why You're on Ice 2 got canceled because like they were a lot of the fans for JJK was like also like advocating for the team to kind of like get a break because they're producing because Mappa was producing so many things, and you could tell in the movie JJK Zero, the animation kind of like is a little bit questionable because you know how you're telling me like Onyx Equinox has like some questionable like transitions. At
Yeah,
one point,
especially the first
there's like
couple
there's
episodes. Yeah.
yeah, so like in JJK like Zero, there's like no shading.
Oh,
So
damn.
it's just yeah, so you could tell that they were under so much pressure to produce it because I think did Mappa also do Chainsaw Man? I forget.
Not sure. And then to put context behind Mappa is like an anime studios and is an anime studio. And different anime studios have like different deadlines and different pressures. And most of the time, anime studios have to work on more than one anime at a time. Not that they all release at the same time, but it's a small group of animators and people that are
Yeah,
infamously overworked, and they have to do like a lot of great things and go above and
yeah,
beyond and work long hours for their fans. Just so
yeah.
if you
Because
guys
when
have no idea what's Mappa, well, it's one of many big anime studios like Bones and stuff. Yeah, it's another
yeah,
anime studio.
so Mappa did Bakuguri, which came out like last year, and then they also did Banana Fish, which came out a few years ago. But Chainsaw Man came out in 2022, and I think that's when I think that's when JJK Zero came out. So they're just under a lot of things. So I think like you could just tell which person kind of got like a lot of attention. But yeah, you
Sure.
could. But yeah, they got a lot of like they got a lot of heat because it wasn't really that great. But that's when they realized, hey, we need to give them a break. Because they
Absolutely.
also did because I think that's around the time too Attack on Titan seasons came out as well. So a lot of things came out in 2022, 2023. So yeah, it's tough.
No, right, right. And yeah, so yeah, so just to kind of close off just that central theme, I think we're both in agreement that as far as what made anime cool, it's probably a combination of just accessibility because back in the day it was much harder to access anime. There's a lot of old documentaries. I'll put these links in the description how like people had to go above and beyond and go to various pawn shops or would even go to older anime conventions to even access these like cool anime shows or OVA, which are just like single films that used to come out. And like sometimes there were subtitles, sometimes they weren't. Sometimes the fans would even do their own dubs just so people could understand and get access to this quote unquote great content, right?
Well, one
And then
of
we
the
have
popular websites was Kiss Anime. That was like my go-to when Crunchyroll wasn't around. Kiss Anime was like my holy grail of watching any type of animes because that's the only one they could watch on your phone where it actually matches your phone's dimensions, screen dimensions. So
right.
yeah, Kiss
That's
Anime
another
was
thing
the
too, right?
best.
Remember we saw the history of Crunchyroll. Remember, can you get into that too? That how like that was also remember
A pirated site. It was a pirated site that
how
actually
crazy is
became
that?
a legit. Yeah, so it was just insane. I never used Crunchyroll back then until I guess until they became like a legal site. I guess you could say because it was pirating so many things. Um, but that was kind of crazy too because they ended up partnering up. Oh, they fused together with Funimation and Sony, and I guess that's when they actually had a subscription service. But that was crazy to know that they used to pirate things. It's like what happened to Napster. How come they didn't get like
Right,
monetized
LimeWire,
like that?
Foxwire. It's like it's weird. It's like these guys still
Yeah,
got away with it. Yeah,
yeah. But it was crazy. But yeah. But Kiss Anime was like the best thing too. And then the effort that the fandom like put into the subbing, especially when the sub is really, really good. That's awesome. I love that.
sure. And then another thing too, to give credit to the fans and these unique and character fans that you don't see as much in other communities and the passion and the love they have for it. That even like abridged was like a popular thing, right? Where they would film clips of animes and like make it funny or make it dumb and like make fun of them. And that would also bring attention. And sometimes these little abridged little clips of like different animes or even fan creation things or even fan fiction mangas, but that's its own tangent. We're not talking about manga this
The
episode, but
Josens,
right, right. And
BJs.
webtoons, all kinds of stuff. But like, yeah, all the abridged stuff, like that's its own thing. I think that also created like popularity aside from AMVs and other stuff. But
Well, allegedly, I don't know if this is true or not, but since I really like Haikyuu, I do like read like fan fictions of some of these characters, especially since like they do like for example, he's always paired with Hajime. Um, but there is a very popular like Jujosen of Haikyuu for Oikawa and Hajime, and then I think allegedly like the person that created it is the person that created Given, which is why the art is very similar. So and then her stories for Iwa-chan and Okawa was really really good for Iwa-chan and them. It was really I really liked it. So when I saw Given and I saw the art style was similar, I'm like it has to be her. So I don't know if it really is or not. The name is similar, but that's a fun fact.
thank you for sharing. And just
Yeah.
to wrap up this point, I'm gonna share a couple like historical animes that paved the way, even if we're unsure of like, even if we don't know about it, but just to kind of show some love. This is
Mhm.
from Ranger, and that we have the OG Astro Boy, that
Yeah.
came out in 1963 in Japan. Although it's more popular, I know they even tried to make. There was like some kind of like I'm trying to remember like a 3D one that they tried to make in the theaters, but I don't think it did well. At least here in the
No,
US.
they came out with Pluto, which is based off of Astro Boy. It was a really good
Right,
series. Yeah.
right, and yeah, it recently came out as well too. Right,
Mhm.
and then we have Kimba, the White Lion, and yeah, the fact that like this eventually would inspire like, Lion King. We have Holes, Prince of the Sun, and then Princess Knight and Sally the Witch. And Sezizon, which is more like family stuff, and then we have sports anime, and then Tensoon 28, which started like the beginning of the mecha anime. And this is in the 60s, and then this now we're going into the 80s where Daikon, which was created by one of the like, or was helped formed by amateur animator Hideyoko Anno, which started Neon Genesis, and then Space Battleship Yamato, and then Gundam's phenomenal. It's basically the Japanese take on like Star Wars with like a touch of politics and
Hmm.
important uh factors that like, military complexes and how like all this stuff makes influence on money. I talked about this one earlier, the Kinnikuman, but I know it
Hmm.
as ultimate muscle.
Hmm.
That's how I know it. And then Nausicaa was like a game changer, literally created Studio Ghibli.
Oh,
Akira,
Akira, there it is. This is
it
it.
created literally the cyberpunk genre, which
Yeah,
is
this
very
is Kanye West's like favorite.
right, and a lot of people's
Yeah.
favorite. And then Dragon Ball, of course, and then Neon Genesis
Hmm.
Evangelion, and of course we have Pokemon and Ghost in the Shell is the last one that just wanted to touch base on. As I stated earlier, was like the inspiration uh for the Matrix. So I just thought that was some important things to touch base on. And I
Hmm.
know we also wanted to touch on this too. I know we wanted to touch on how different animes are popular in like different countries. Every country has their own taste, right? And some animes would be like, oh, why is that popular over here? Why is this popular over there? Right. So here are different animes that are popular in different countries. So yeah, I know you kind of browse through this too. What are your thoughts on this, Cha, on the different animes that are popular in different regions?
I couldn't get into One Piece. It's kind of hard. Yeah, it was just kind of hard. Oh, I thought it was gonna be the Onyx one. Okay. One of my favorites is Black Clover. The newest movie that came out like a year ago, The Sword of the Wizard King. But then like you were saying like a long time ago, not like earlier in the podcast, not a long time ago, that makes you sympathize with the villain.
Mm,
That's a good one. But Doraemon I know is very big. A lot of people learn how to speak English or like Korean and like very other languages from watching that. Um, and then Attack on Titan. Which country is that one?
Iraq.
Oh wow, that's interesting.
Yeah,
And Gintama in Georgia?
yeah. Full Metal Alchemist is big in Italy, which I
Oh,
guess makes
interesting.
sense. The whole like night thing, right?
Yeah.
Let me
I
see.
thought Atelia would be pretty big over there.
Yeah, that's a good point because it's
Yeah.
like it's very themed in that. Let me see one more. Do you have anything else that you want to add as I'm like putting on different things, trying to put on the screen, or?
Well, I know you mentioned this earlier, but one thing that kind of kept me in the whole like that kept my love for anime alive too is the fan groups because I love watching all the edits on TikTok and some of the things that some of the fans say is just so it's so hilarious. Like Black Clover is one of the animes that I really like too. Like I like the Black Bulls. Like Yami is very awesome. And like I was scrolling, and this is kind of the reason why I rewatched the what is it, the Sword of the Wizard King movie again. But it's just some of the comments are just so hilarious, and I don't know, you never watched it, right? Um,
No, I haven't watched Black Clover yet, but it's on the
okay,
list.
but some of the memes that I see, because like the biggest joke in the series is that Yami, because he's like a huge muscular dude and stuff, he always eats like crazy things. He's always on the toilet. He goes to the bathroom all the time, taking the massive dump whenever they need him the most. But then he'll pull through and then save the day or whatever. But the Wizard King, they have like this book that contains all the spells and magic they could use, the Grimoire. Um, and Juliet's, because he's the Wizard King, his Grimoire is a massive book. I don't know if I could show you like a link. Let me see if I can move this. Let me see if I can share this with you.
Yeah, just if you like present your screen and stuff. But no, it's no, it's a good point. A lot of fans give like different life to the community and they give their great takes. I know I follow a lot of anime YouTubers that give a lot of thorough breakdown. They go deeper into the lore,
Yeah.
and they also bring different things to your attention.
Let me. It just makes me
Uh,
laugh.
yeah,
So
no worries.
how do I? Okay, here, let me present. Share my screen.
And then you
So
click on select the specific.
like Yami is always in the bathroom, right?
Okay.
And they say the reason why like Yami loves Julius, the Wizard King, the most is because his grimoire looks like a toilet paper.
Oh, dude.
I never thought of that, and that just made me laugh so much. So I ended up
Oh,
watching the Sword of the Wizard King like last night again because I'm just like it was such a good movie and stuff. But it's just
yeah.
like when they said that, I'm like, you got to be kidding me. It's just I wouldn't have thought that. It just people come up with the most funniest thing,
No,
and like it's
absolutely.
just and then there's another scene like I'm just mentioning now like very pivotal like memes that came out, but obviously Gojo and Daddy's Home is like his song, but then obviously there's always ships within like TV shows. So then like Gojo is always partnered with Ghetto and like the famous scene in front of the KFC. Like I visited at KFC when I went to Japan because I had to see it. But there's a song. My goodness. It goes like the way in which you talk to me. That became like Gojo and Ghetto's song. And then
Mhm.
and then the guy got really popular off of it. But then like I wouldn't have like all the edits under that song is just phenomenal. I love it. Just seeing all these edits and like the fans are great. It's amazing, and that's why I end up like staying in like anime talk, and I'm like into anime even more because all of these new ideas and stuff. So I appreciate you guys a lot.
No, absolutely.
Yeah,
No, right. And I'm also part of like different like anime, like sometimes like different Reddits or like Discords, and it's interesting to hear different people's different deep dives too. Although it's tricky too, right? 'Cause there's also the dark side of fandom, and some people can be very protective and very possessive of different things. So it gets tricky to navigate all that. But anime is one of those unique art forms that cultivates and forms passion of like different fams and stuff. So yeah, that's cool though. That memes and different people's analysis on stuff. Yeah, that's another thing that can get you into this unique thing of uh of anime. I'm just gonna share a couple more things, then we can transition into our other point. So it's like which country watches anime the most, or which watches the second most anime.
72% of the people watch anime regularly. That's really really high.
That means that
I
United
didn't.
States has a greater number of people who watch anime shows in Japan, but has a higher percentage of people that watches them overall.
Mhm.
Yeah, of course, but that's a weird question. Why? What is the most popular anime movie studio? Oh, Studio Ghibli. Yeah, that checks out.
Yeah,
But then Studio
yeah.
Ghibli partnered up also with Disney too, so that's probably like another reason why. All right, so maybe that particular one wasn't helpful as I thought it'd be,
It's
but
okay.
I'll do the other two and I'll be done. So sorry about that. And for you audio listeners, all I tried to do was like present like a map of the world. And I thought it would like kind of give us like a breakdown of like the popularity of different countries of it. But the way that layout was more confusing. This one's like much more straightforward. So it looks
Yeah,
like Black Clover is one of the more popular animes worldwide. And
yeah.
then we have Jiujitsu Kaisen, Boruto, My Hero Academia. Mind you,
Mhm.
this is from 2021, so it's not super accurate, but it's still interesting. Tower of God, God of High School, Attack on Titan, ReZero, and Onyx Equinox. And then we have different regions. We have JJK and MHA being popular in this region. South America, we have MHA, Attack on Titan, JJK, Tower of God, Black Clover, the God of High School, and then we have Europe here, which shows a graphic of MHA, JJK, Tower of God, God of High School, Oceania,
Mhm.
JJK, Boruto, Tower of God, Black Clover, and ReZero. Africa, JJK, God of High School, Black Clover, JJK,
Mhm.
Black Clover, popular in the Middle East. And yeah, that's
Mhm.
just a quick little stat on that.
I Let's see. I'm looking at a different list that's most updated.
Oh, you found a newer one. Cool. I'll just show one more, and then I'll go and I'll piggyback to you. So the
Oh no,
reason
I'm
why I
trying to.
want oh,
It looks like my search is not that accurate. Hold on, continue. Continue
no, no
going.
problem, no problem. So another thing that I thought that was super interesting, as you saw in that last a couple slides ago, I showed you how popular Dragon Ball is in Mexico, and I talked about it earlier how popular Dragon Ball is in Mexico. It's so popular that someone on 4chan was able to make something called Gohan Blanco, which just means Gohan White in English or Super Saiyan White. And this person was able to like create this thing, and it got so popular that they adopted their idea, which is something very cool and unique. So we can see here in this little still animation that we see like Gohan's like in the midst of a battle, and he's like transforming, and all these other characters are shocked. And it says, and now we just hear the other characters react Gohan, and it says, Gohan, ese es el fin, grande padre. And it says which translates in English, this is the end, grandfather. Or but it doesn't mean grandfather like grandpa. It means like, like big dad, great dad, or it's like a term of endearment. So try and tell him like, hey, don't trip, pops. I got this. I got this. I'm gonna FS up, as the kids say. You know what I mean? Make
Hmm.
some chaos. So I thought that was very interesting how like a fandom from a particular country could create their own like dream like involvement or next stage of the character, and like it got so much like attention and buzz, and like I kind of scrolled through it fast, but like it got this repost got like 500,000 views, so it got seen by a lot of people, and it did get a lot of positive feedback. So it's really cool that like that kind of the influence of the fandom can make that type of effect, and which I found very cool and very fascinating. I had no idea about, and I just found out as I was doing research for this
Hmm.
video. Were you able to find your thing or no? Okay, yeah,
No,
no
it
worries.
was all the one that you showed that actually like lists like when like instead of using an index, it's a lot easier. All the ones that I found had indexes, and I'm like, it's too hard to decipher. I am not trying to work.
It's
I am
not.
not
It's
trying
not.
to work today. I'm
Yeah,
not trying to work
no,
today.
I understand it.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
too broken down. And just to
yeah.
kind of close off on the final point, I think the reason why anime is cool now and why it has such a fandom, I think because there's an anime for everyone. And like Cha and I, we have two completely different kinds of taste. Sometimes we have overlap, but like there's literally an anime for everyone. Can you just like jot off a couple different animes and just to give like a for viewers who haven't seen anime, or just to kind of give an idea, like for example, right? I mean, I'll start first to maybe give you an example, um like an interesting anime that I'd probably recommend to people, um especially if you have like a Crunchyroll membership, is like I think Trigon's a really good anime because it's like funny, but it's an edgy western, and it's not what you expect. It has like a little bit of a slow
Which
burn.
one though? There's like several of them. Which one?
True, the OG
Which
Trigon,
one?
OG
The OG
Trigon,
one? I like the
OG
newest
Trigon.
one.
Oh, Stampede.
Yeah, that one was pretty
No,
fun.
yeah, no,
Ah,
it's cool. It's very
yeah,
well animated. Yeah, for sure.
yeah.
But I don't know. I feel like you have to watch the OG to appreciate Stampede, but I could be wrong on that. But you get my point. So that's like one different genre. And then I really got into shoot, what is the name of that one? I think I had it up. Um shoot. It was on my it was an anime that came out last year that has to do with like I believe the girl is
Apocalypse Diaries.
no, dude, that's my dude.
No.
That's like I want to watch that
Oh,
yesterday. I kind of want to
what's
watch it with the misses though, because I hear it has very good drama, bruh. So I think that'll. I think we need a palate cleanser because we've been watching a lot of Handmaid's Tales, and man, that stuff's it's a good show, but it's like, dude, it's heavy,
I'm
bro.
not I'm not gonna even touch that because I'm gonna get too like so yeah. Like for me, like when I watch anime, it has to be able to escape a little bit. But if it gets too dark, I don't like watching it anymore because it makes me spiral. You know what I mean? But
Sure.
yeah, like I can't watch Handmaid's Tale, and yeah, just can't do that. Not right now.
Sure.
But yeah,
I'm no, a sign of affection. That's the way it was. That's the way. That's the name of the story.
Oh,
And the lead
I haven't seen it.
character, she's deaf, so she needs to use like a hearing aid, right? I believe that's right. Yeah, she has a hearing impairment. Dude,
Oh, I know
that
what you're talking
anime,
about.
bro. It's like it's kind of like a love anime, but it's more like of a drama anime. But
Yes,
dude,
it's with the guy with the silver hair, right?
yes, yes,
Yeah, yeah.
so good,
Uh,
so good. So
yeah.
yeah, so yeah, what are can you just give another example to viewers or listeners that are listening? So what are like some of the because there's an anime for everybody. Like
Well, there
can you
is, but then like it's kind of hard because like for me, I really like things look pretty. So I watched a huge range of him. So that's like my thing. Like I watched Sensu recently. Let me find the proper genre for it. It just came out I think like last month. Um, this is the cover art for it. Let's see if I can find it. And that one is considered isekai. Um, which I'm not really sure what that means. I always forget what that means.
oh isekai is
It,
like a fantasy trope, and it's usually
yeah.
somebody
Okay.
who's like escaping into another world, usually some kind of
Yeah.
headache or yeah,
Yeah. So
or a
it's
dream
kind of like it.
sequence. Yeah.
So this one just yeah. So this person escapes to another world and stuff like that. But it's a pretty funny premise because like her like she's a mankata, so she creates mangas and like she also does like graphic design and stuff like that. And then she escapes to a fantasy world where she has to draw her weapon, but she can't draw the same thing twice. So it's very fantasy, but it's very colorful and stuff. But there is also like a subplot. It's a love story. But what's nice is that the female character is not weak. She's actually quite strong, and I really like that. The other one is Kaiju number 8. That one is a Godzilla, similar to Godzilla, is with like different monsters and stuff like that. Um, that one has no love story, even though people ship a lot of the characters together. But there is no one. There's none. But it's about a 30-year-old who is trying to pursue their passion, which my nephew always says, "Hey, this one reminds me of you. You're going to relate to the story a lot." Which the only thing that's relatable is that I'm 30 years old, so that's pretty funny. Another one that's also good is Buddy Daddies. That's like one of my favorite ones too. That one is about two guys raising a child together, but they're best friends. So, and that was comedic, but it's also a thriller. It's very fun for people. But one of the popular ones everybody really likes, Spy Families, or Spy X Family. Um, that one is about a, a spy that needs to pose as a family man. So he hired he fostered a girl, and then he hired a wife, not knowing that the wife is also a spy. They both don't know they're spies. So that was a pretty exciting. So I guess it's like Mr. and Mrs. Smith. I guess you could say similar to that, but they have a kid. But
Right. Yeah, and
yeah,
but
similar
it's
to
not
that.
actually a kid, but then they adopt them. Yeah.
Oh, there you go. So you watched it already.
No, no, I'm
Oh,
simplifying
okay.
it. I know of
Oh,
it.
there.
I
Yeah,
haven't
yeah.
seen. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And then Jujutsu Kaisen, which is it has a dark theme, but it's a lot of action. So a lot of the animes too, it's really hard to find like a light-hearted one. Not really hard. It's just like I haven't really watched a lot of light-hearted ones, but there is some like The Way of the House Husband is really, really funny because it's an ex-Yakuza member that got married and left his life as a Yakuza guy, but that one's really cute. Then they have another one for people who are burnt out from work, Life Lessons with, what is his name? Life Lesson with Uramichi Onisan. That one's really funny, especially the dubbed version. You could just tell this person's tired of work. So that's relatable for us if we don't want to, if, we want to break from work. It's pretty funny. Yeah. Then they have a gambling one, which is Kakaguri, but that was pretty out there. So yeah, one for everyone.
No, yeah, there's definitely a lot of different comedy and lighthearted animes in general too.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, no, for sure. No, there's all kinds of stuff. Anything that you can think of, even if it sounds ridiculous, I bet you can like, yes, there's cooking anime. Yes, there's like
Well, Food Wars is really like, I really like the way they animate the food, but I understand the sentiment, but yeah, it gets super graphic to the point where like people get naked after they eat like they take a bite of this fried rice, which when you have a really great home cooked meal, because I just came back from like a family reunion, and when I was eating the food there, I was just like so happy. I felt like I was in heaven. So Food Wars adapt that emotion really well, but you know, a lot of them get naked. I'm like pretty out there, but that was
Yeah,
really fun. But then there is like, and this is why I really like the fan groups or like the fandom, because there's a few people on TikTok that actually recreate the recipes and what's nice is that the food that they cook, it actually follows a particular like way of, it actually shows the steps accurately so people could replicate it, and I think that's really awesome. um yeah. And then another one is aggregatzo, somebody who lives a double life, like is a like, it kind of reminds me of Abbott Elementary. I don't know if you ever watched that, but there's an episode where Jacob decided to do karaoke and he's like doing Papa Roach. Aggregatzo is kind
right,
of like that. Looks like
right, right.
a wholesome girl, but because of her frustrations at work, she has to sing rock music to get out all of her emotions.
Well,
So
I'm
that's
just
another
gonna
one.
ignore your Abbott Elementary comment because our last video was on Abbott Elementary, so I'm just gonna let that comment slide. But about Abbott Elementary, but of course I've
I
seen
am.
it.
Well, I don't know. Sometimes like it's a lot of content that we go through, so sometimes I forget. And
Sure,
also like speaking to the general audience, they may not know
Agresco
what
is
I'm
awesome
talking
though.
about.
It's a great show.
Yeah.
I highly recommend it.
And
She's like
then
a office worker who like vents her frustrations by like going into a karaoke bar and literally like playing screamo hardcore metal just to give you
yeah, and
context of what
it's
Charlotte's
very
saying.
great.
Yeah, it's great.
Um
It's great.
yeah. And then there's this other one. I'm just listing the ones that I watched. Like one of my favorite ones too is Elusive Samurai. It's very beautifully done. Um and it's historical. So if you like history, that's a great one to watch because it's actually somewhat they made it's a little bit more fantasy, but um for the most part, it's pretty accurate. It's about an 8-year-old boy that is on the run because his kingdom got, you know, overthrown. I guess is the way you say it. Um, and what other ones too? Like, yeah. So, Psychopaths is similar to Minority Report then, because it's about a device that the government created to be able to measure your psychological state. And then the antagonist for Psychopaths really challenges the ideal for it, and I think that was a very challenging anime to watch. Like that's one of my favorites. Like, yeah, I really like that one. I didn't keep up with it. I think I only watched like the first season, and then I kind of took a break from watching it because it got pretty dark. What other ones are there too? There's a lot. I watched quite a bit.
No,
Oh,
no worries.
hold on. There's another one. Okay, and there's another one called Darwin's Game. That one I was actually pretty surprised. So this one is about a high school student that joined an online game, and this online game though it actually affects your reality. So if you die in the game, you die in real life. So that one's actually really
Ooh.
good because um and then you get granted like superpowers too. But the only thing is that the reality for people who are not playing the game, it kind of gets skewed, so they can't really see what's going on. So that's a really interesting storyline. So I really like that. But one of my absolute favorites, though, I can't believe I didn't talk about this. Haikyuu, obviously, this is really great for people who are like sports enthusiasts. That one and Diamond No Ace, and then there is Croco's basketball. Sorry, I'm like pronouncing it wrong. That one's also really good. The only beef that I have with that is like a lot happens in like 1 second. So I remember when I was reading the manga, like they're playing one like round for basketball, but it'll be like a whole volume. I'm like, how do you have so many conversations in like seconds? It just took too long. But yeah, that was pretty good.
Okay. Yeah. I think now that we're talking about different types, I think Ranma and a half. I think that's also kind of a great, just kind of funny anime that has like a very unique premise. And yeah, it's definitely funny. But
Well, they had an anime too that's about Jesus and the devil being friends.
what? Okay. I had no idea that was a thing.
Yeah,
Okay, why not? Then maybe they were, right? God loves all his children, even
it's
his fallen children, right?
but no, I forgot what it was though. Like there was a scene that was like pretty big on TikTok. Maybe it's just one episode, but they were at a theme park together, trying to become friends, and I'm like, what? So they have anime for everybody, you know.
Yeah,
And then if
absolutely.
you and like what we talked about before, Given,
No,
it's a good love story.
right, right, absolutely. So, do you have like maybe one or two animes that you would probably recommend to a viewer for someone who's never watched an anime? What would be an anime that you would like recommend for them?
It just depends what they like because let's say if you like John Wick, if you like John Wick, I think Solo Leveling is a good one to watch because like of course John Wick is like such a like OP character. Solo Leveling is
Yeah.
great to watch. If you like an underdog that is succeeding, Demon Slayer is very good. And most of the ones I'm listing are newer because I do like the animation now more than before, obviously. If you like one that really challenges like your morals, you can't go wrong with Death Note, Lelouch Rebellion, and I was just thinking about it right now. I was just thinking about it. What's the other one? Oh, Psychopaths is really good.
Okay.
There's one. It's only one season. Terror in Renaissance. Resonance, is that how you pronounce it? That one's also good too when it comes to like challenging, like challenging your morale and stuff. If you really like fantasy, Chainsaw Man is actually fantasy along with like action. Chainsaw Man is good. Jujutsu Kaisen is also really good. But yeah, there's just listing those. Sword Art Online is a lot of people's favorite, and they always recommend that. But season 3 and after it gets kind of crazy. Um, but if you also like fantasy, Shield Hero is actually really good. I like the first 2 seasons a lot. I haven't watched the third and fourth one yet. And Black
Okay.
Clover,
Okay.
yeah.
Black
Hmm.
Clover. Okay. I think my recommendation for sure would be One Punch Man because it's like short, it's funny, there's action. I think it's kind of a pretty linear story to watch. As far as another anime, I think Monster is also a good anime, but it's a little intense. But if you're looking for like a really good thriller, that'll probably like scar you for life in a good way. I think Monster would be another good one to watch. And honestly, any of the Gundams are great because not all of them, they all have like different subplots, but they all like center around one mech and this great mech that makes like all this difference and like these different wars or conflicts at the time. It becomes like the ultimate equalizer, almost like the modern day like atomic bomb or hydrogen bomb kind of thing. Becomes like
Hmm.
the arms race. So yeah, the witch from Mercury was like a newer Gundam, which was great. Iron Blood Orphans is great. The original films are great. Unicorn's great. I'm watching the
Hmm.
new G-Gux that's coming out. Would definitely recommend it. So I think I'll go with Gundam, Monster, and One Punch Man. And then also just, let us know below, guys. Like, leave us a comment. Let us know what type of anime you guys like, and maybe you can leave a comment below on what you guys recommend on a different anime, or like how you got started with anime, and maybe you can give us some kind of additional feedback so we can kind of form this nice little back and forth and community regards this awesome thing is anime. Because yeah, it's beautiful, man. It's a lot of anime has been like very well respected. A lot of animators are definitely unsung heroes, like the creator of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. A lot of his animation stills even in different like museums in France. So it just shows you like the level of detail and the amount of love and like respect that is like given to anime, you know what I mean? And like the fact that like its popularity, aside from all the different cool little like plushies and different cool things that we have going on regarding it. This is Boo from Dragon Ball Z, by the way, in case you didn't know. Who is that guy? That's who he is.
Hmm.
And like, yeah, it's just this beautiful universe. It's like this beautiful world, and it's more than just like cartoons of just drawings. Like most of the time, they have like a deeper message, and they're very well done, and they'll suck you in into these different things, and they'll give you a different, unique perspective. And I promise you, like after you watch an anime, it'll change your perspective on things, no matter what it is. And and yeah, that's the power of this powerful art form that comes from another region of the world that doesn't think like us and doesn't have the same culture as us. So when they have their own interpretation of things, it's very unique and creative. Do you have any like final thoughts or any final takeaways that you wanted to mention, Cha?
Um, there's a lot. Just give it a shot. It's just like, don't be scared to like watch something that might be a little bit questionable. That's one thing that kind of helped me back to watch some of it. Like I held back from free a lot to watch like the last 3 or 4 seasons because of the fan service, but the plot is there. So just watch what you want to watch and don't worry about everybody else. There's always going to be a fan group for you in this community. There you
Okay, yeah, sounds good. Sounds good. Yeah, thank you guys for checking out another AZ Ray video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I hope you guys got value from this. And if there's any other additional suggestions or anything else that you guys want us to talk about, let us know below. Looks like we have a little background here of Black Lagoon. That's my favorite anime. And then right here in this other one that was here before, you can't really see it, but I think I'd have to like make myself smaller, but we have Haikyuu here just to show love to Cha.
I
And
appreciate it, but I'm more of a Seiju fan.
well,
I'm
the
just kidding. I like
no,
all of them. Like Coral is also one of my favorites. But yeah, I
kidding, not
appreciate it. Thank you so
kidding.
much.
I don't know. But yeah, so thank you guys again for checking out this video, or if you're listening to this podcast, please like and subscribe and share it to somebody you know. Maybe they can help join us from this conversation. Do you agree with us? Do you disagree with us? Do you guys have any additional theories on why you think anime is cool now and why it's popular? But yeah, so that's all. Thank you guys for watching another AZ Ray video.
Bye.